is there. Okay.
Primary key.
Primary key constraint is there.
Unique.
Unique.
Check.
Check.
Not null.
Not null. Very good. Okay. Those are the 5 constraints. How many constraints did we work with last week?
We worked with not null.
Uh-huh.
We worked with primary and foreign keys.
Foreign keys.
We also did, I think, just one example on unique.
On unique as well. Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. So the only thing left is check, and the check is the one that is a little bit more detailed than the others. Okay. So when we talk about referential integrity, what does that mean? And which key is it tied to mostly? Referential integrity.
So it sounds like referencing another table, and it's mostly connected to the foreign key.
Right, right. And what is it states? Referential integrity?
That the keys have to match between the tables. The foreign key has to match to the corresponding primary, and there can't be duplicates.
Exactly. Yeah. So foreign key has to be within the domain of primary key. It can have duplicates. Very good. So these are the 5 constraints. Primary, foreign, unique, check, and not null. Primary key constraint. In how many different ways can we implement primary key constraint? Give me a number.
I can remember 2.
Yeah, I'm thinking 2 as well.
That's less. Let's go higher.
So 3.
Higher.
4.
4. Yes. Okay. So one way to declare a primary key is that you can write it in the same line where the field is. So you can go to that line and you can say, okay, customer ID, integer, not null, primary key, comma. That's one way to do it. Second way to do it is towards the bottom. You can just write it as a constraint, just like this. Third way to do it would be to not write the first 2 words, constraint and the name of the constraint, only write primary key and the field. That way, the system comes up with the constraint name. You don't come up with the constraint name. And also the first way where you write the primary key in the same line as the field, again, the system comes up with the constraint name. You don't come up with the constraint name. Those are 3 ways. Fourth way is doing through an alter command. Okay. Some people use different kinds of prefixes and naming conventions when they're doing primary keys, foreign keys, unique keys, check, and not null, if they want to name their constraints. And these are some of the suffixes that they may use in that. Unique key constraint is very similar to primary key constraint. You just write the word constraint name, but instead of primary key, you write the word unique. And you can have 1 or more columns listed in the same line if you are doing it in the end, So that's unique key constraint. And here are some examples of promoting a field to a unique key. Unique key can also be done the same way. A field that you want to promote to the unique key constraint, you can write in that line before the comma that this is a unique key, or you could write it towards the bottom, or you could do it through an alter command. Okay, foreign key constraint. Foreign key constraint is either done within at the bottom of the table, or you could do it in an alter command. Foreign key constraint and the primary key constraint. What is the main difference between the syntax? Primary key has primary key constraint has constraint name, constraint type, and field. These are the 4 elements in the primary key. How many elements are there in a foreign key constraint? A named foreign key constraint. I said how many, so give me a number. So primary key constraint has 4 elements. Foreign key constraint has how many?
Is it 7?
It is 7, exactly. So constraint name, constraint type, field, then you use the word references, then you name the table where the primary key is, and then you mention the name of the primary key. So here you can see those 7 elements. So you write the word constraint, 1, name of the constraint, 2, foreign key, 3, field of the foreign key, 4, references, 5, table name where primary key is 6, and the field that is the primary key in that table, 7.
What is the child table and the parent table? Is it the one with the foreign key, or which one?
Yes. So the one with the foreign key is considered to be a child table.
A child table. Okay.
Okay. And the one with the
Primary.
foreign is a parent table, right?
Okay.
Because the reason it's called parent-child, because foreign key is dependent on the primary key. So if the primary key is not there, you cannot create a foreign key. So because of that dependency, we call it parent-child, just like a child is dependent on the parent. Until turns 18. I'm just kidding. Okay, so let's move on to foreign key actions. That's another thing to keep in mind, that foreign key constraints. Okay. Foreign key constraints define the action that will be taken on foreign key if primary key gets deleted. What if the primary key gets deleted? So what will happen to the foreign key because it's dependent? So there are 4 options that you can specify. Either you can use the keyword restrict, and that will not allow anybody to delete a primary key as long as there are foreign keys dependent on it. And this is, in most cases, default behavior of the databases. However, if you use the word cascade, it means that if you delete a primary key, all the dependent, by primary key, we mean records, not the field, okay? If you delete a primary key record, the first one, let me restart, okay? The restrict means primary key records cannot be deleted if there are dependent records on them. Cascade means the primary key records can be deleted. However, all the linked foreign key records will automatically be deleted as well. That's what cascade means. Okay? Set null. Set null means if the primary key record gets deleted, all the dependent foreign key records will automatically receive null in the foreign key field. They will all be changed to null. All the dependent foreign keys. So let's say if department number 10 gets deleted, all the employees in department 10 in the employees table, their department number field will just turn to null. So they won't be deleted, they will just be turned to null. Or no action means the behavior of no action is similar to restrict. That means the only difference between restrict and no action is when the foreign key is enforced, the restrict option enforces the delete rule immediately. No action enforces the delete rule at the end of the command, but they work the same way. Additional foreign key constraint considerations. So this is where you can create a table. For example, we create a table called orders, and we have a primary key on orders table, and we're adding a unique key constraint to it. And this is how you can apply the other restrictions. For example, you can say, when I'm creating a foreign key, on delete cascade. What does that mean? That means if the primary key gets deleted, all the related foreign key records will also be deleted with it. And on update restrict means do not allow the primary key to be updated. If I say on update cascade, it will mean if, let's say, department number 10 changes to 11, all the dependent employees will automatically will now be 11. That is cascade.
Can you add these options in the create command?
Yeah.
You can do that as well.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, absolutely. Yes. Okay, let's see.
Oh, there,
Here you go.
yeah. Mhm.
Do not use foreign key constraint if tables are read-only. Tables containing static data that is loaded and then never, only rarely modified are not good candidates for foreign key constraints. Then comes the check constraint that we have been talking about is one of the most detailed constraints available. Again, it's applied the same way. Constraint name, check, and then you have to put a check condition. In order to understand check constraint, let's first look at some of the rules, and then we will create a table which will have several check constraints. So here are several considerations and restrictions apply when defining check constraints. The same constraint name cannot be specified more than once for the same table. So if you are naming your check constraint, each check constraint must have a unique name. Otherwise, you let the system come up with the naming. If a constraint name is not explicitly coded, a unique name is automatically generated for that constraint and derived from the name of the first column in the check condition. The constraint can refer only to columns in the table. So you cannot create check constraint on other columns outside of the table. The first operand specified in the check condition must be the name of the column contained in the table. The second operand must be either another column name or of a constant. What is an operand? What is an operand? That's a programming question.
It's like your addition, multiplication.
Those are operators.
So is that the greater than, less than, equal
No,
to?
those are also operators. Anything that is a symbol is an operator.
The values that the symbols are operating on.
Exactly. Okay. So you need to mention in the first place the operand. The second operand must either be, so if you are mentioning that, okay, this is where I'm applying the check constraint, or this is, so that could be a value or another column in the same table, which we'll look at in the examples that we will do. If the second operand is a constant, it must be compatible with the data type of the first operand. So whatever you're using as a check constraint, it must be a valid value in accordance with the data type of the field. If the second operand is a column, it must be the same data type as the first column specified. The check condition defines the actual constraint logic. The check condition can be defined along all of these. These are all operators or values. Greater than, less than, equals to, not equals to, less than equals to, greater than equals to, as well as you have a between, in, like, null. These are also valid. And similarly, you can use ands and or if your condition is a larger condition set. The not logical operator cannot be used in the check constraints. Okay, so before we move any further, let me stop sharing and I'll let everybody log into V2 Cloud or whatever is the case, however you want to do it, and bring the run SQL script.
Are you able to help me reset my password?
Okay, I will do that once I'm in, okay? And you know your ID, correct?
I believe so.
Okay, because it happens to be so that sometimes people forget their IDs and then I have to go and look for them. So that's why I was asking.
Yeah, I
yeah,
had everything in the.
let me
Oh,
log
go
in
ahead, man.
and then I'll ask you. And you can log in all the way through V2 Cloud. And then,
Yeah, I'm already in V2 Cloud. And
oh, you are
that
already,
was-
okay, awesome. Cool. Give me like a couple minutes.
yeah, no problem.
How's your new computer, by the way?
Very fast. It's twice as fast as the other one. I could say that for sure.
Wow. Did you get like
it just-
i9?
I could send you the specs, guys. I don't know how. My my ex works in IT, so she bought it through CDW, and just with all the bells and whistles. So yeah, it's pretty
Cool.
nice.
Okay, awesome.
Saad, I think I also forgot my password.
Okay, let me get in first in green screen, and I'll ask all of you who need it to be reset. Okay, Desmond, what are your 3 digits? ITPA and
I think I want to say it's 5-4.
Oh,
5. I don't remember, to be honest. I'm trying to think.
okay, let me look in the 5-4 range to see if you are there.
Okay.
It's 585.
It is
Yeah, I think that's what it is. 585. I think that's what it is. Alvin, I think you always had my back, man.
Got it, buddy. I just happened to have screenshot that list when we had it 2 years ago.
Oh, okay. I remember.
cool. Thank you. So you want your password to be changed as well as enabled your account, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So I changed it to new pass, all lowercase, and I just enabled as well. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Who else needed it? ITPA, what are your 3 digits?
Mine.
Yeah.
ITPA 580.
Okay. Okay, yours is also disabled, so I will change yours to new pass as well, all lowercase. And we're gonna do it enabled, and you should be good as well. Good to go. Now let me get to the run SQL scripts. Share my screen with you guys. So if you guys can please provide me with green checks when you are in, and when everybody is in, we will then move forward. You know, there were times when I was using 4 screens. That was in COVID days. I went from like 2 to 3, then to 4. And I had like a 24-inch, a 27, a 29, and like a 14-inch portable one. Then I
Yeah.
went to 3 screens, and then I went to 2 screens, 129, 127. Then I went to 224-inch in fall. Now I'm down to one 15-inch laptop.
I don't know how you do it, man. I just got my third monitor. It's really not a monitor. It's a 65-inch TV, but I need a fourth one. I feel like I really need a fourth one.
That's what I thought when I was originally started teaching Zoom. I know it's a bit of a challenge on one screen, but as you guys see, that we have been doing okay from last. It's week 4 now, right? I've been teaching
Oh
all.
yeah, it's been good.
Yeah, all my classes I'm doing it on this 15-inch, and it's been working out okay. I know I miss a little bit of a larger screen. If I had a little bit of a larger screen, it'll be better. But yeah, for the most part, it's okay. So I'm kind of thinking, when I feel better, when I can move around, I'm thinking of going the what is it? What do you call that? The minimalist approach. Have you guys heard about that?
The minimalist, yes.
Yes. Okay. So you usually go down to one screen. I'm kind of thinking, I will continue to use this and connect it to my 27-inch and use that 27-inch mainly, and probably for a second screen would use this. My iMac, my Mac Pro. But the only thing I'm concerned about is if I put this on the side, then you guys will get a side view of the camera versus a front-facing one. I'm still not 100% on how will I going to set this up if I have to go that route, if I go that route. But I'm kind of thinking, going more towards cleaner than having a cluttered look. Again, so many cables running around, so many screens. Yeah. Then I got to figure out what we're going to do with my desktop. My desktop is slowing a little bit. That's one thing with Windows. When you use it for a good number of years, I've tried several things, still getting a little bit slower. It's been like over 3 years now. So I got to figure out what to do with it. Every now and then when I tried opening things, I could hear the hard disk. It searches for stuff. It makes that noise.
Oh yeah.
I could hear that. So I don't know. Should I upgrade it? Should I?
Well, I know I'm upgrading from my current setup.
It's
I
not.
think that
Yeah, go ahead.
no, I that's exactly what I think mine was doing, and it kept on like every time I would click something, it would like load, so you hear it like trying to figure out what's going on, and then it just went, and that was it. It was the end of that.
And how many years
Yeah.
you had that for, Desmond, before it did?
Since I started, because I came back to Gateway, redid my GED because needed a start over, like refresh, and then so I have this thing for at least 5 years, I think.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mine, I think I got mine somewhere before COVID. So I think I've had mine for like 4, 5 years, almost four, a little over 4 years or around 4 years time. Maybe 5. This December I'll be completing 5 years. Yeah. So
I mean, my last one that broke just before the semester, I got about 10 years out of before the cores started dying.
wow.
That's pretty good, man. That's pretty good. Mine was an elite book, and I liked the way it moved. It was HP elite book. It was just so smooth. Yeah. And
Yeah,
this new one is fast, but I'm getting used to how it operates. So.
Yeah, there was a reason I invested in a desktop versus a laptop during COVID years, or probably a little before the COVID started. And because, I think there are much better machines.
Yeah, because you can like update the things that are going wrong on them. Oh, and for this class, I definitely need 2 screens, one for the Zoom to see what you're doing and one so I can type to try to keep up.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
What do you mean keep up? It's been like what, 40 minutes? I haven't typed a single letter.
Yeah,
when
but once you start,
typing, yeah, there you go.
I've tried taking this class or classes with just one screen, and it's so hard.
Yeah.
Yeah, I work with 3 screens.
I'm happy I'm. Oh, sorry, I interrupted.
Oh, I was just saying I got 2 monitors and then my laptop.
So
I'm happy with my 2 monitors setup. I mean, being in that office for 2 weeks was really hard.
once you get used to it, yeah, it's difficult. I mean, I remember when I went to 2 screens from 4, in the beginning I was having difficulty because there were like 24-inch screens versus I had 29, 27, 24, and 15. Or even 29, 27 is a different deal than having two 24 inches. But I had better refresh rate on my 24-inch. And that's was the main reason of going away from the 27-inch, because that was 60 hertz and these were 144. And plus, I could adjust the height of these 24 inches. So I could just do whatever I want to do with the height. And the 27-inch, it was stuck in one position. So it was, I don't know, we'll see.
I got some of the monitor arms that I can adjust, so
Yeah,
what I do.
I tried that with this 27 inches, but then I return it. I mean, like it's 60 hertz, 27-inch, plus it's pretty old. It's like 8, 9 years old monitor. I am like, okay, it was affecting my eyes a little bit too, because of, it didn't have that kind of things that I was looking for. So that's why I bought those 24-inch ones. We'll see. I'm still thinking. If I go the whole Apple route, then I would have to figure out which monitor to get to work best with my Apple device. We'll see how it goes. Yeah. Anyway.
Not a fan of Apple.
I know their monitors are outrageously expensive and it's 60 hertz.
Yeah, I'm good with their cell phones. Anything else? Absolutely not.
So it's just like, wow. And they have not upgraded it since 2019.
What?
That was the last 2019 or 20. When was the last time they upgraded their displays? They're still running 60 hertz. Their
I
webcams are horrible on that screen. I don't know. Well, so now we will create our table where I actually saved my SQL file. I don't know if you guys saw that. I clicked File, Save, and I chose PC, and then I saved my SQL file. So here I'm creating my very first table here. We'll call this one Employees 2024. And one of my CL students taught me how to go page up and page down on Mac. So now I can do that too. Kind of cool. The only key that I'm struggling to find the answer for is insert. There is no insert key. And let's see how that works on V2 Cloud. That's what it is. Okay, so we'll create our first field, employee underscore ID, integer, not null. And let's take a shorter route. We'll just promote it to a primary key status. Okay, social security, integer, not null. So these are the fields. Don't create the table yet because I will be creating a lot of check constraints. So since we want to test different kinds of check constraints, that's why I created a lot of fields.
I have a question, Saad.
Yes.
I noticed that every single thing listed here is not null. Is there a way to make it so that we only have to type in not null once and it covers every single one or no?
No, no.
No.
It
Okay.
has to be done at individual level. It has to be done at the field level.
So do you need the not null for the primary key?
Technically, you don't.
Okay, because I thought you
Because
said
primary,
that was
yeah, primary keys cannot be null.
okay. But it won't give you an error message, so that's okay.
No. it won't.
Okay.
So don't run it yet. We still have constraints to build. Just make sure that all these fields are created correctly. So because of the color coding, you can easily tell black color, purple color, blue color. So how do you guys keep up with Alan then? Doesn't he?
He's not as
Just
fast as you.
slower.
A lot of coffee and sugar candy. It's also usually copy and paste.
Oh, okay. So see, I mean, I told you guys I stopped drinking coffee. It's been like 4 months.
Yeah, well, you still blew me
How-
out of water.
How you holding up?
I just drink water. You know, this I'm using this, but it's like it's water, not coffee. I am holding per fine. Even when I used to drink coffee, it was not like because I needed it. I just like the taste of it. Plus, I needed something to sip on, so that's why I drank it. What? Yeah, cool. Yeah, I know some people, they're so used to it, so they want it. That's what I thought initially, when I stopped it, all of a sudden, I was like, oh my God, I don't know how my body will react to it. It didn't react bad. I mean, like, in fact, it did not even feel, there are days when I miss it, but not to an extent where I want it, like, badly.
So no caffeine at all, no tea or nothing?
I do drink tea. I've been drinking tea because it's cold. Otherwise, I started drinking it since when, I mean, like for a couple months or a month and a half, I stopped taking everything, all sorts of caffeines, and now I'm drinking it in this winter time. I'll just stop it when winter is done. I'm drinking one right now because I've been teaching since 8 in the morning.
Yeah, I'd like to quit coffee, but I don't know how I would do it. I have to be up at like 4:30 a.m. and I'm like, yeah.
Yeah, I understand. I mean, like work schedule. Yeah, for that very reason, I'm drinking tea right now because um, I was like feeling a little tired. So everybody done with all the fields? So we'll start out with our very first check constraint. So again, the syntax is the same, that we type constraint name. So I am planning on applying my constraint on my status field, that I want the status of the bank account or the status of the employee, sorry, should be only active or inactive. Those are the only two values I want people to be able to enter in this field. So I can apply a status check constraint, and it will be a check constraint on the status field, where the field can only have a value that is active A or inactive I. Those are the only possible set of values I could have in that field. So constraint name, constraint type, and then what is the check constraint that you're applying? So the check is that the allowed values are only A and I.
Is that a space behind your check? And
Yes.
is it necessary to have it?
Yeah, the one space, so that, you know, there has to be a space between the name and the type. So this is the name of the constraint, and that is the type of the constraint. And this is the field on which the constraint is applied and the allowed values. Okay. Now I want to apply a different kind of a constraint. On my social security, I want it to be a unique constraint. So social security number, unique constraint applied on social security field. Okay. Now, if you're talking about this space, that space is not required. You know, this space, you know, you can have no space there as well. But I do it for readability purpose. But the space before the check is required, or before the unique. Okay, now I want to apply a check constraint on social security number. So constraint, so social security check constraint. And this check constraint will be such that I want to put a minimum and maximum range of values. So I want the social security to be more than 0, but at the same time less than 999999999. Okay, so I can use an AND operator to give range, just like programming. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So you can give a range of values with an AND operator. So both conditions must be met.
When would we use the name of a constraint? Or is it just kind of like a reference, like a comment?
Well, if you are declaring a constraint like a forced constraint like this, then you have to mention the name of the constraint.
But would you ever refer to it from somewhere else?
Well, it would allow you to remove a constraint afterwards, or it would allow you to alter a constraint afterwards.
Okay, that makes sense. Thank you.
But doesn't matter. All constraints are always named. You come up with the name, or the system comes up with the name. Okay, now let's put another constraint where we will reference two fields of the same table in the constraint. For example, we want to put a constraint on the hire date, that the hire date must always be greater than the birth date. So where both of them are fields of the same table, and that can also be done. So constraint date check constraint where the hire date has to be greater than the birth date. Okay, now let's apply another constraint, this time on job class field. That we have job classifications and we want everybody to be within those classifications and cannot have a value outside of that. So we'll have job classification, check constraint, that the job classification can be only one of these values. Exactly like we did in line 14. We had only 2 values. Here we'll have more than 2. For example, can it be junior, senior, temporary? So just like social security number, what was the data type of that? Integer. Okay, so that's why when I gave the range of values, I use integer numbers. Now let's see if I can apply a range on a character field. So let's take job level. For example, if the company allows only for 9 job levels, 1 through 9. So nobody should be allowed to enter a job level that is greater than 9 or less than 1. So constraint job level check job level greater than 0. So since it's greater than 0, it's a character. So that's why I'm enclosing 0 in single quotes. And job level is less than equals to 9 in single quotes. Similar to the check constraint, I also want to have one on gender. So constraint, gender check constraint, where gender, yeah. Similarly, we want to have a constraint on salary that nobody can make, less than 0, and nobody can make over, let's say, 250,000. So constraint salary check constraint salary has to be more than 0 and salary has to be less than 250,000. So we have created a range in salary. Similarly, I want my salary.
Excuse me, Saad.
Yes.
Where you have gender, is it supposed to be check after gender?
Oh, check. Thank you. Thank you. So for salary, I want to have 2 constraints.
Also, you have a 1. Yeah.
I wrote 1 because I have,
Oh,
I
okay.
have 2 salary constraints. So one salary check constraint is the salary range. Another salary check constraint is where I want to make sure that the salary is always more than commission. So if somebody tries to enter commission more than salary, it will not let them do that. System will not let such a record to be entered. Also, if we want our bonus or commission, both of them to be of a value greater than 0, then we can also do multiple fields in the same check also. So for example, I can say bonus, commission, check, constraint to be such that the bonus must be greater than 0. Okay, or commission should be greater than 0. Okay. So it's an or between them, that at least one of the two conditions has to
I
be.
think in that last commission you missed an M.
Oh, thank you. Okay, and no comma after the last constraint. So when I ran it, it said the statement ran successfully and the table was created successfully. Are all these green checks from before, or is like because you got it running?
From before.
From before.
Okay, okay, so yeah, so give me green checks whenever you have the table created.
Can I see where the job level row is?
Yes, yes. Here we go.
Oh, it's after job class. Level. Commission. Commission after salary.
So is the reason why you had 24 after all your check constraints because you had this table from a year before?
No, no, because so that I can add something else to it tomorrow morning for my other section. I'm just coming up with some kind of a, yeah, for every year, yeah, 24 is for the year, and I purposely did that. So when I do this table with them, I could probably
just-
make it 24B or something like that.
Yeah, you're just coming up with a good naming convention for the variables or the
Yeah.
constraints, yeah.
Yeah. Because it doesn't allows to have multiple constraints with the same name, even if they're in different tables. So we have Ethan left, Smile left, and Desmond, and Pamela. And Mason. Mike. Oh, Mike got it. Okay.
So when you run it with the third little
Well,
hourglass, right?
since this is the only query, I could just use the first one.
Okay, I run it now.
You got it now?
I'm about to run it and see if
Okay.
it works.
And how about you, Mason? Did that work, Desmond?
I'm getting a few errors. I'm fixing them right now.
Okay.
Yeah, mine ran fine. I had a few errors, but I found them.
Okay, cool. Awesome. So now what we want to do is we want to insert a record here. So let me clear the participation feedback and let's insert. So insert into EMS 2024 values. Employee ID, Social Security, hire date. That should be in ISO format, right? So let's say 2024 01 10. Oh, quotes. Birth date 2000 05 16. Job class. So I have to use one of these job classes, JSMT. So I'll just use J. Job level has to be also within 1 through 9 range. So let's say I use 2. Gender. Salary. Okay, and then after that, we have commission and bonus. So let's say commission and bonus. And then we need to have status. So it's active. Okay. So these are the values I have used. So I have how many fields? I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 fields. So let's see if I have 11 values here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So let's run this. And one record inserted successfully. Okay, you guys got this one? Okay. Once we run one successfully, then we will start making some mistakes to see how the system reacts. So let me copy this and let me paste over. And okay, if I rerun this, what will happen?
Error,
Error. Why?
because you have the same employee ID.
Primary key, right? Okay, so that's the problem here. The primary key error kicked in. I just checked. Just wanted to check. Good. So let me solve the primary key problem. Okay. Will it run now? If I change the primary key?
No, because the social security number is not unique.
Exactly. Let's test that to see if that works. And yes, it says it fails, but now because of a different reason, the unique key is not applied on the second field, which is okay, so let me change the social security number. Okay, so the dates, we're gonna switch the dates around to see, we're gonna try to give a birth date, a date that is after the hire date. Okay, so, well, I'm just changing 2000 to 2024. Let's see if that check constraint kicks in. So let's see. Okay. And now that check constraint, you can see, it says there's a check constraint called date check 24, and that's line number 17. That is not letting me enter the record correctly. Okay. So let's switch it back. Now, for social security number, let's, the check constraint, it has to be greater than 0, right? How about if I put 0 for the constraint? So let's check that to see if that will work. Okay, and I run it, and that gave me another error saying, there's a problem with social security check constraint. So that is also checked to make sure that that works fine. Okay, so I undid that change and brought the social security number back. Okay, now let's try with job classification. Let me change the job classification to A, and the only allowed values are JSMT, right? So let's try that. Okay. Now it says job classification constraint error. So let me switch it back to what it was before. And let's change the job level to, let's say, 0, because 0 is not allowed. So let's try that. And says, okay, the job level check errors out. Okay. Now, if I enter a value 10, will that be allowed?
Yeah, because we set it to 9.
Okay. And then we have another problem. The field size.
It's only a one field length.
Exactly. Exactly. So when I do that, even before the check constraint kicks in, it basically kicks in a runtime error. So the check constraint was never even bothered because I entered a value that's outside of the bounds of the field. So the the entity integrity kicks in here. So let's change it back to one of the levels that is allowed. Okay, so we checked here. Now, what is the next field in line we have? So after the job, it's a gender. Okay, gender. Let's try to put in a value here. Let's say C. So that should kick back and say, see, the gender constraint kicked in. And that's not one of the allowed values. Okay, so now let's change it to a salary outside of the range. Let's say 420,000. So 420,000. When I run it with that value, now I have salary check constraint kick in. Okay, so let me change it back to 120,000. Okay, then comes a bonus and commission, right? Those are, yes.
There's the second salary check.
Yeah, cash. Yeah. So let's try to do a so let's enter a second set commission to be 300,000, which is more than the salary. So let's try to see if, yeah, so second salary check kicked in. Okay. Now I want to give both commission and bonus a value of 0. I want both of them to be 0. Now that's a problem. Why is that a problem?
Because it makes them both 0, so there is no or.
Yeah, so there at least one of them has to be more than 0. That's what that or is for. So, okay, so I'll change it back to this one. And status. Status can be A or I. That's the check constraint on status, active or inactive. Let's say I change it to S for suspended. And when I do that, it comes back and complains the status check is violated. Okay. So, you know, that way I was able to pretty much check everything. And then I fixed everything and ran it and then ran successfully. So I changed all these values around just to get you guys see how check constraints kick in. And typically you will be inserting data through some kind of an application or a form. So when this data will come in through your database engine will error and will send an error back. So you would have to handle the error programmatically.
What is most common in practice? To have these edits as constraints or to have these edits in the programs?
Okay, now if program is the only place where the data is coming in, then it may not matter. But if the data store is shared, then it is better to have it on the data level.
Okay.
I mean, we probably can still put it in the program level, but having it on the database level protects the data.
Right. You can still have it on the program level because then that will save you from having to deal with all these errors. So all of these check constraints are basically business rules. So as a programmer, I would want to make sure that before I send data over to the database, I am not making any of these mistakes also.
Okay.
Just so that, you know, to reduce the amount of errors, runtime errors. Okay, please give me a green check if you guys are done with this. So we know that we have looked at this constraint.
Yeah, a couple of minutes run to the bathroom real quick. Recovering from the flu, so drinking a lot of liquid.
So integer is zone, right? And decimal is packed.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Okay. I notice you usually use decimal. Is it because it is a packed?
Well,
because
no.
it's packed. Oh, it doesn't. You don't pay attention to that.
The integer I use because those are the fields that do not require decimal values.
Decimal value. Okay. Okay.
Okay, so let's go back to what's that chapter? Yeah, this is the chapter, right? Okay. So check constraints. Now these check constraints that we applied this way can also be applied using an alter command. So as you start going through these pages in the book, that's pages 162, 163, you will see that what I did inside the table could also be done individually outside of the table in separate alter commands.
So can you also use alter to modify the constraints?
Alter table, table name, and then you will say alter column, column name, or alter constraint, constraint name. So yeah, you can use the alter command for that purpose. Let me see. Second, I don't remember if the book talks about that or not. I don't remember. Let me double check. So we can add constraint. Add for table. I don't think so. It allows you to alter the constraint, either adds or removes the constraint.
To remove it, you will use a drop.
Yeah,
To drop the
yeah,
constraint.
yeah, that is shown. We'll go there to that page where it talks about dropping the constraint, but I don't think so. It lets you alter a constraint.
Yeah, my book is on page 141. My book is, the pages are different than yours.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, 141 has the adding and removing constraints.
Yes, so that's the last topic in the chapter, which talks
Yes.
about you can drop by altering the table, alter table, table name, and then you can drop. If it doesn't has a named constraint, you can just simply drop it, like simply saying drop primary key, or you could drop it by name by saying drop constraint and provide the name of the constraint. And that's how you can drop it. And once you drop it, you can always add it back later on if you want to add a constraint back. That's one of the reasons some of the people would do separate alters as opposed to making it part of the table. That way their alters are saved as separate queries. So if they ever drop one, they can always rerun that query to restore it back. Okay.
So to interrupt, I never got my first insert to run correctly, and I've been trying to fix the error, and I'm
Okay. Can you
failed.
share your screen?
Sure.
Yeah. Maybe it's violating one of the checks. Possible.
Are you able to see my screen?
Yes, looks like it is violating a job level constraint. Okay. So you have, yeah, that constraint is getting violated. So let's see why it is getting violated. So if you let's go to your data set. So only select that line, 27 and 28, and run that. Yep. Okay.
Has the wrong less than and greater than by the 9.
Say that again.
What's that?
So I think it
He
was
has the
saying on the
wrong-
constraint.
Yeah, on the constraint, he has the wrong less than greater than sign by the 9.
Oh, that should be less than equals to 9 on line number 19.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so what you may have to do is real quick, fix that first. Go past line 25, scroll down. On line 26, click on line 26 and type drop table EMPS 2024.
You're
Semicolon
missing an S.
EMPS 2024.
Yep. Sorry.
Semicolon after 24. And select line 26 only and run it. Okay, now scroll back up. And now scroll back up further, all the way to the top of the create table line. Okay, now start selecting from lines 1 through 24. With 25, and then run. Yeah, cool. Okay, now try lines 27 and 28. Okay, cool.
Cool. Thank you very
If
much.
anyone needs to select just one line, you can click on the number. So like if you wanted to select 26, just
click on
click on it.
Yep.
And you get the whole line like that.
Okay, cool. I didn't know that. Thank you.
Cool. Everybody else got it? Okay. So let's go back to the chapter. So we have these. Oh, here we go. There are some alternate ways of doing some of the things. For example, for the gender, you could either use an or, but you would have to repeat the same field twice. That's an older approach, way older approach, like 30, 40 years old approach. And then the in operator basically allows you to list multiple values, and it works the same way as or. Okay, now here are some other variations. Let's say if you want to apply a constraint on, let's say, ship date, and you're like, okay, make sure that ship date, if it's null or ship date is greater than or equals to order date, then don't let the person enter the information, right? So if the ship date column contains a date, that date needs to be validated to ensure that the ship date is always greater than order date. Similarly, here we have, we're adding a constraint with and between several fields. So where we are doing a combination to make sure the status is A or status is I, and the name is not equals to a space. So you could also build constraints like that, where you are mentioning multiple fields. You're doing multiple field checks. So if the DBMS detects a constraint violation, it will only mention the constraint name. It will not tell you because of which field the violation happened. Also, you can do formulas in constraints where you can check to make sure that the commission is less than 5% of the salary. So if the commission is equals to 5% or more than, then it will be a violation of the constraint. So the whole idea of the check constraint is to make sure that you have the data integrity in place. The referential integrity is maintained by foreign key, and data integrity is maintained by the check constraint. And it promotes consistency. DB2 does not support a Boolean data type. So what you can do is you can declare an integer data type and give it a value of 0 or 1. And to force that, you can declare it to be of type integer and default it to a false 0. And when you're building the constraint, you can identify that this field can only have either a value of 0 or 1. So treating it like a Boolean. That's the only way to do Boolean here, is through the check constraint.
So we would have to use the greater than or less than operators then, right? Or equal to then?
No, we basically just listed the two, only the two allowed values, as you can see over here.
Oh, yeah, I see that.
Yeah. So
So
value
it's
active could either be 0 or 1. Yes.
sorry, it's a constraint is not an object, right?
Constraint is an object in a
It
sense
is an object.
because it is named.
Okay, but it has to, you have to, how can you, it's inside the schema, right? That's
It
where
is-
you find it,
Yeah, a schema has different kinds of objects.
right?
Yeah.
And the constraints are inside the schema,
Yeah,
or at
if they-
least,
Right. If they were not objects, you could not be able to drop them.
okay.
Because
How can I see the constraint if I have the name?
we will get to that. As I said,
We
you know,
can,
when
we will?
when we
Okay.
will start exploring
Exploring, okay.
the objects, that's where we're going to get to see those things as well. Okay.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Okay, so that's basically how you can implement something Boolean-like approach by locking things in only two values. Very similar to that we have here. One of the common mistakes sometimes people make is they put a constraint, let's say they put a constraint that this field can only have a value of A or I, but they default it to a value of S, for example. So right away, it starts giving them problems because they default the column to a value that's not even allowed. So that could be a logical mistake on user's part. Okay. Okay. Here we can see that a constraint is applied to multiple fields at the same time. So let's assume that we have a table called test underscore Boolean with 3 fields, Boolean 1, Boolean 2, Boolean 3. We want all 3 fields to be check constraint of Boolean type. So we default all of them to 0, and we said, okay, the name of the constraint is check flags. It's a check constraint, and this constraint applies to multiple fields. That Boolean 1 can be a value between 1 or 0, and at the same time, Boolean 2 will have the same range, and Boolean 3 will be the same. So all 3 are AND. That means if any one of them is in violation, everything will fail.
But having them all under the one rule gives you less information back on like what
True.
field actually violated it.
Exactly. That's the only drawback to this. True. So DBMS performs no semantic checking on constraints and defaults. So that's what I was talking about. Giving a default that is not allowed is something that will be a violation. For example, here, job class default to N. However, N is not even one of the allowed values. Most constraints can be specified as part of a column definition or as a separate clause. Like in figure number 5.9, we applied a constraint like this. And we have both variations, named constraints, and we also have unnamed constraints. Adding and removing constraint, we already looked at that you can do alter table, table name, and then you can drop a constraint. So these are the topics we went over in this chapter and some of the key terms. Okay, with that, let's move to the next chapter, which is chapter number 7. As I told you, chapter 6, we will deal with next week. Chapter 7 is about updating tables. Even though it's called updating tables, the chapter actually works with all 3 operations: insert, update, and delete. Okay, so now let's start looking at insert first, modifying the data table, the table data. In the insert command, you need to mention the name of the table, the name of the columns in the table to be populated. That's optional. Implicitly or explicitly, you can list. When you explicitly list them, then you can give the values in whatever order you've listed them, or implicitly means you have to list the values in the same order that they are in the actual table. Okay, so here is an example of explicitly listing the columns. So we have a table called customers, and we are explicitly listing the columns. And those are the only columns in which these data values will go. So the first value will go in first column, the second value will go in second column, and so on and so forth. And then this is the select command with a where clause, where we are selecting all the records from the customers table, but only for the following customer. By the way, in the future weeks, you will be turning in your assignment in the similar order. So when we start working with the select command, this is how your each problem you will solve. So for example, if I give you like 10 problems to solve with select commands, so you will mention the problem number, problem statement, your SQL statement, results, and you will paste your results. So for each problem in a Word document, you will have a table of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 rows. That's the format you will follow. In chapter 6 onwards assignments, which require you to solve a select problem.
Can you say that one more time, please?
Yeah. So starting chapter 6 onwards, your problems will be, I mean, like when you're turning in your assignment, each problem, you have to create a table like this, where in the first line, you mention the problem number, second line, the problem statement, the third line, your SQL, fourth line, results, and the last line, you paste your results. It could be a screenshot of the results or whatever. So for each problem, you will have a table of 5 rows. Here is another example of insert where we are implicitly using the table columns. We're not mentioning the columns. So we're saying insert into customers, and we are supplying the values. We are under the impression that these values are in the same order that the fields are in the actual table. Explicit default with update. So a column in a table can be given a default value. So when you're creating it, you can say, okay, the following field is of so-and-so data type, and it defaults to this value. So for example, if I do not mention credit limit or if I mention credit limit in my explicit listing, and in the place for the credit limit, if I say default, then whatever default value I have mentioned will automatically be applied. Okay. So running a select on that shows that the default value is applied. A column that is set to null must have been identified without the not null. Otherwise, it will give you a problem if you try to leave it null. So for example, we have a discount field and we do not mention not null next to it. So when we are inserting data in it, so we have customer ID, customer name, balance, ship city, credit limit, we provide values for all the fields except for that one field, and it will default to null. Okay, so that's my discount. Or I can just say default. It will automatically default to null. Or I can use the null as a value. So all three variations are possible. Completely eliminated from the list, included in the list but use default, or include in the list and use null. All of these are valid ways of assigning null value to that column. And this is how you can select multiple records. Select star from customers, display all the customers in these three IDs. So it automatically acts like an OR. If this ID matches, or this ID matches, or this ID matches, all three will be selected. Similarly, you can give a default date value. If you want to assign the current system date to be the value, then you can use current underscore date. In DB2, current underscore date means system value. So current date value. So employee ID will receive 139, first name will be Rick, middle initial will be D, last name will be Peters, and retire date will be the current date. So okay. 13 years ago, he ran this query. Wow. Right? 2011. Okay.
He's been living a good life.
Yeah.
Retired for 13 years.
Yeah, probably whoever that is, right? That hypothetical guy, Rick Peters. Yep. Multiple row inserts. Can you insert multiple records at the same time? Yes, you can do that. And this is how you can do it. You can write insert into table name, and you can mention all the fields. And then if you want to copy multiple records from an existing data set, you can type select the following fields from an existing data set. So what it would do is it will go row by row and will start transferring values only from these fields into these fields. So I basically created one field on the fly, which is last job code, and I'm assigning it a value of nothing. So that's a field that we generated on the fly that was not part of the original table, but only we were using it for the insert. So all other fields will get values from the employees retired, except for that last field will get a space. So that's how you can mass transfer data from one table to another table. That stuff is a little bit beyond the scope of this chapter right now. We're going to come back to that query when we do joins, updating statement. When you're updating tables, we write update table, set field equals to a value. If you stop here, then what happens is that all the customers, their names will change to KTS Consulting Incorporated. If you do not want that to happen, then you can use a where clause to limit that to only one customer. So only one customer's name changed to KTS Consulting. If you want to update multiple fields, then you can say set customer name to this name, comma, and discount to this. In that case, multiple fields can be updated for that one customer. Here is another update command where we are updating multiple records because there are multiple customers whose ship city is Portland. So we're saying all the customers who are Portland-based change their discount to 0.10. So multiple records can be affected. So single record can be affected in where clause, or multiple records can be affected in where clause. It all depends on which field and how many records you have that meets the criteria. So you can update multiple fields of the same record. You can update multiple records, one field, or you can update multiple records, multiple fields. You can do it on all three combinations. Or you can decide to change a value to no value by saying anybody who lives in Portland, they get no discount. So their discount is set to null. Or we can say that anybody who lives in Portland, the credit limit is set to the default value, whatever is the default value mentioned in the table description. That will become their credit limit. If let's say the default is 100, then their credit limit will, everybody's credit limit will be changed to 100. Okay, now this is something that we will come back to once we do chapter 6. There are areas of chapter 7 that we will come back to once we learn those topics in chapter 6. So I'm just skipping over those. Now here, when an update is performed, constraints, including the primary key, unique, foreign key, and check constraints must be taken into consideration. In the next figure, figure 721, which is example number 20, employee table has a foreign key constraint on department code, which references the department code of the department's table. This ensures that every employee belongs to a valid department. So if I try to change a department code to a department code that does not exist in the primary key, then such an update will fail because you are going against the referential integrity constraint. In another example, suppose we want to change a customer ID in the customer's table. To do this, we must be sure that the customer ID column value is changed in the customer's table row, as well as in all rows and tables that use customer ID as a foreign key. If no foreign key constraint exists, multiple update statements can simply be used. Otherwise, it will be a problem. Then comes delete. Deleting a record or multiple records from table requires a delete command, and delete doesn't use an asterisk, as we learned in last week, and I think it was Greg Skripsky who responded to that question, that why there is no asterisk in a delete command, because delete doesn't delete columns, it deletes records. Select can select columns, that's why it uses asterisks to mean all columns, or not using an asterisk when you want to select some of the columns. And delete command doesn't use this asterisk because it cannot delete only some of the columns from a record. It deletes the entire record. So here we are saying that I want to delete from customers where customer ID is 905011. Similarly here, we want to delete multiple customers. We want to delete all the customers who are in Portland. So multiple customers can be deleted, or a single customer can be deleted. Okay. Or you can delete everybody in the table by simply issuing a command delete from customers, and that will delete everybody. Or you can delete all rows in the customer table where the customer ID is this one. Coding suggestions. Be sure that a subquery, which we have not yet learned about, is used on the right-hand side. We'll skip through that bullet point for now. Use an explicit list of columns in the insert statement to make clear which column each new value corresponds to. Be careful to include a where clause in an update or delete statements unless the intention is to update or delete all rows in the table. Whenever updating or inserting a row into a table, be certain to adhere to any check constraint defined on the table. And be sure to consider the effect of a primary key, unique, and a foreign key constraints when updating a primary key, unique, or foreign key columns, or when deleting a row in a table referenced by a foreign key. So that brings us to the end of this chapter, and we will take a break here. And then upon coming back from the break, we're going to do hands-on with inserts, updates, and delete commands. Okay. So how about let's take a break till 7:45. And then when you guys come back at 7:45, we're going to do some more hands-on. So I'll see you guys at 7:45. Back. And we went over chapter 7 before break, and now it's time to put some of that stuff to practice. And at the beginning of the break, we heard Desmond, and during the break, we heard Jose singing. So it's like, okay. Anyway.
You heard me? What?
Well, at the beginning of the break, I think your microphone was still on, and you're like, oh, okay.
No,
It sounded like a big yawn to me.
Yeah. And as if he was holding on to his yawn as soon as the break starts, like, oh, come on. I can really insert my yawns and update them, and you deleted your yawn.
I like it.
And Jose was having a good time.
The time of his life.
Okay, so
You better hope you don't meet Jose in person. He could bench you. Look at them arms.
yeah, Jose's in shape, man. He works out every day. And Desmond also works out, right, Desmond?
I do. But
In
I'm more
fact,
of a lean, muscular
in
body.
fact, before the class is over, I'm going to the gym. So I want you to know that.
Oh, okay. How many hours do you work out every day?
At least 1.5.
Oh, okay. Wow, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Wow. Hopefully one of these days I will too. Hopefully.
Just got to get the time.
With all them hours that you teach, I don't know where you would find time for any workout.
I don't know what that is, just the discipline. I think it's more like discipline and, motivation, self-motivated discipline. You go out, your body is sore, and then you're like, okay, I'm not going to.
You only sore for the first 2 weeks.
Yeah,
I
I know.
Feel it no more.
That's when it hurts the most, and that's when you're totally demotivated and you're like, oh my God, it hurts so much. I'm not going tomorrow. How about if I go day after tomorrow? And then day after tomorrow, you're like, okay, maybe I'll go tomorrow. And then you're like, yeah, it's just happened so many times. Anyway, okay.
That's why you get a workout, buddy.
Yeah, the only workout I get is when I go out of the house and work. Okay, create table.
That one had potential. You just have to work on the delivery.
Create table lamps 2024. And we'll have lamp ID, character 4, not null, primary key, and lamp manufacturer, variable character 25. Okay, so we're creating a very simple table. Once you are done creating this table, I want you to insert this data in that table. Okay, so everybody got the 4 records inserted.
Yeah, I got mine.
Now, let me teach you a few other ways to insert multiple records at once. So here you can see on at the top lines 41 through 44. I did it through 4 separate inserts. Then look at lines 46 through 48. I wrote insert into LAMPS 2024 only once. Then I mentioned values. I listed my first pair of values, comma, I mentioned my second pair of values. This can also be done alternatively by saying insert into lamps 2024, and you can list the fields, explicitly list the fields, and then you can also write values just like that, comma separated. So this allows you to run and insert multiple rows at once. So let me select these and hit the run, and you can see that multiple rows were inserted at once. Okay, so maybe you can insert those as well.
Scroll back up, please.
So again?
Can we scroll back up a little bit? Let me see something.
Yeah. Yeah. Let me know when you guys are done, and then we'll move on to our next step.
Did you insert Joe and Mark in there too?
Yes, I did. I did. So that was my previous run. That was 2 rows inserted. So if I do select star from lamps 2024, then I could see all the records.
Oh no.
What happened?
Oh, nothing.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Okay. Desmond, did you get it, or are you still coding?
I thought I pulled it.
Say that again. Sorry, your voice is breaking.
I got it. I'm sorry. I thought I put a check mark.
Oh, okay. Okay, so make sure when you run select star from lamps, you will get total of 9 records, 3 from here and 2 from here, which is 5 plus 4 from above. So that's 9 records. Okay. Having said that, we will now move on to our next step. And that will be that we will create another table. So let's scroll up and let's copy these 2 lines. Create lamps 2024 and all the fields in it. Copy those 2 lines and paste it. Change the name of the tables to lamps 2024 B. Okay. And let's run this. So we now have 2 tables. One is called lamps 2024, and the other one is called lamps 2024B. Now, the reason I did this is because I want to show you how you can copy all the data from one table to another table using a single insert command. So insert into lamps 2024B. Okay. Now, once you do that, you can mention your fields that I want it to be in lamp ID and lamp underscore manufacturer. And after that, select the lamp ID, comma, lamp underscore manufacturer from lamps 2024. So what it would do is it will grab all the data from lamps 2024, both of these fields, and will push them in the two fields of the lamps 2024. So let's select these two lines and run it. It will tell you that 9 rows were affected by this statement, okay? It doesn't say 9 rows inserted. It rather uses the word 9 rows affected. So now let's copy and paste the select command and change the table name to B and run it. And that's where you can see that all 9 rows were successfully transferred from one table to another.
It didn't like it when I tried to make the table B.
Did you make sure that you have a semicolon on the query above? Like flex star from lamps 2024, it ends in a semicolon.
Yeah, let me see. Yeah, I got everything there.
Okay. Can you share your screen? Let's have a look.
I think it's running now. Hold on.
Okay.
Yeah, it's running now.
Okay, cool.
I don't know what the problem was, but thank you.
No problem.
So
Yes.
if it's just going to be in the same order, do we need the lamp ID land menu from
No,
lamp?
no, you don't.
I'm sorry, can you scroll up again? I'm having an issue from the
How much up?
yeah, that's good enough. I see what I'm doing. I see what
Okay.
Yeah, I jumped back in kind of late here and I had issues running the first inserts.
Lines 41 through 44.
37, yeah, on your screen, yeah.
Yeah. So you created the table, lamps 2024, right?
Right. Yeah.
Okay. So here are the 4 statements. Check the syntax to make sure that everything is correct. Let me
Right.
scroll up 2 more lines for you to make sure that your table was created correctly, and then check it against.
So I run 41 through 44 first, right?
After you're done creating the table, you can run 41 through 44, and then you can click on run selected. So yeah.
It says duplicate key value specified cause.
Okay. Right. That means some of the records do exist. So why don't you run this command now, line 55, to see how many of those actually made it through already?
Okay. Thank you.
Mhm. So how many of them exist?
1 moment. Yeah, so it's just the ones at the I guess the second set would be line 50 and 51 got in there.
So okay, so when you ran line 55, how many of the top 4 existed already? All of them?
No, none of them showed up into the database.
Can you share your screen? That will give me a better idea of what's going on.
Sure.
Okay, so can you only select line 37 and okay, hold on a second. Hold a second. Line 37 is there. See, 34 AS is there. 34 AB is there. Can you scroll down maybe a little bit in your output? No, not there. In your output window. In your output window. Yeah. Okay. See, 34 AS and 34 AB. So now select lines 39 and 40 and run lines 39 and 40. Okay, cool. That was it. Your first 2 were there and you were continuously including them as well. So that's why it was erroring out.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So now if you scroll down, okay, now if you scroll up, okay. Yeah, now you can select lines 44. Yeah, and run that. Okay, now 48 through 51, run that. Okay, and now, yeah, run 50. Okay, put a semicolon at the end of 59. Okay, now run that 59. Let's make sure all 9 rows. Yeah, so you have 9 rows. Okay, cool. Now, did you run lines 53 and 54 yet?
I believe so.
Okay, let's try. If it errors out, that means you already ran it. Yeah, that's fine. Now runs line 56 through 57. Okay, cool. You're good.
Thank you very much. Sorry to interrupt.
No problem. No problem. Okay, so who else is working with it now? Is everybody else done?
No, can I just go down to yeah, just go all the way down. Sorry.
Okay. Yeah, that's fine. Is that good enough?
Yeah.
Okay.
Insert into okay, gotcha.
So in this case, you don't use the values keyword.
No, you don't. No.
I have another question. So in the select part of that statement, could you just do select star from lamps 2024?
Then it won't be, I mean, like, that's why we mentioned the field name, so it knows what field to map to what field, because it is possible that the source and destination don't have the same number of columns. And in fact, we will do an example like that where source and destination don't have the same number of columns.
So it's possible, but it's not best practice.
I never tried that. Let me put it this way. You got it, Bart?
Yes, I got it. I got it. Thank you.
Now let's copy lines 57 and 58. Let's copy them. And let's paste it on line number 65, and let's make it table C. In table C, I will leave the two fields, lamp ID and lamp manufacturer, and I will add a third field called price. Let me go to the next line. Okay. Decimal. Four comma two. And let me create this table. Once you're done creating that table, copy line 60 and 61 and paste it on line 69. And let's change the name of the table to 2024 C. This has three fields, lamp ID, lamp manufacturer, and lamp price. But lamps 2024 only has two fields. So what we will do in place of the third field, we're going to just stick a 0. So 0 will go for the price. So when we run this, it will copy 9 rows from lamps 2024 into lamps 2024 C, where the last column will be 0, and we can check that. As you can see, the last column is 0. See, guys, I listened to you guys, and now I'm taking Alan's approach, copy paste. You guys told me about that approach.
So I had to be sure you can actually use that asterisk.
You can,
and that's-
okay. Okay, okay, cool, awesome. Cool, thanks for checking. Okay, so now one of the reasons that I did this is because now we can apply update commands on this table. So update lamps 2024 C, set the price to, let's say, $20.09, where lamp lamp ID equals to, let me grab 34 BB. Okay, 34 BB. So it will say that one row will be affected because there's only one lamp manufacturer with that 34 BB. And select star from this to make sure that 34 BB is now $20.09. Now to insert multiple records, let's copy line 74. Oops. And paste it. And we'll say where lamp ID in, and now I can mention multiple values. So let's say 34 AS, comma, 34 AB, comma, 34 AT. So now 3 rows will be affected. And when I run this query, you can see that all of them are $20.09. So we were able to update just one record, and then we were also able to update more than one records. Now I want to update all those records where price is currently $0 to $15. So what will I write? I want to update all those records where price is $0. I want to change the price to $15. So what will I write?
Update lamps 2024C. And then set the price where price equals 0.
Oh, yeah. So set the price to 15 where price equals to 0. Oh, I made a mistake. It's update. So 5 rows were affected, the remaining 5 rows. So now when I run select star on this, it gives me $20.09 for anywhere that it was not 0, and all the 0 rows are now 15. Is everybody caught up with this? Okay. Now let's say I want to increase lamp prices by 15%. I want you to write this query. Increase all lamp prices by 15%. And make sure that they have increased by 15%. Okay, so what should I write?
Update lamp 2024C, set price equal to price times 1.15.
Okay, so let me copy this and paste it. Okay, you said set price equals to what?
Equal to price times 1.15.
Okay, cool. Awesome. And anywhere clause?
No, didn't you say all? Well, you didn't really say all. You just said,
Yeah, so everybody.
yeah.
Okay, cool. What could be a longer approach to this one?
Do each one individually.
No, a longer formula.
Oh.
Price equals price plus, and then parentheses price times 0.15.
Yeah, exactly. So when I run either one of the two, don't run both of them, otherwise you're going to end up increasing it 15% twice. and then when we run the select command, the price will go up by 15%. So what was $20.90 is now $23.10. Okay. Now I want you to decrease lamp prices by 11% for any two manufacturer of your choice. Write this query. Okay, so what should we code for this one?
You can do the same thing, but replace 0.15 with 0.11.
Oops. This one? Or are you saying this one?
No, the second one.
Second one, okay. You're saying, okay, this one, copy it and paste it. And then you're saying do times 0.11? This?
Yep.
Well,
But the parentheses and then do minus instead of a plus.
oh, okay. So it's gonna be minus this amount. Okay. And what else? Because
Where
that
lamp,
okay, yeah. Where?
where lamp ID in
Lamp ID in, and then choose any two lamp IDs. So we'll probably just pick maybe, let's say, 34AX.
You put 33.
Yeah. 34AX and 34BC. What could be an alternate and shorter formula for this one?
Did you do price times 0.89?
Yes, that exactly. And then let's make sure that it went through, select star from lamps 2024C. And let's run it. did it went down? Yeah, it did go down for the two of them for me, 1535 as opposed to 1725. Okay. Now increase lamp prices for all lamps by 12.5% if current price is over 20. So write this update statement. Got it? This one is also? Okay, so what should I put here?
Update lamps 2024C, set price, then times 1.2 or 1.125,
1.125, okay.
where price is greater than 20.
Okay. Times 1.125, where the current price exceeds 20. Right? That's it? And let's check the prices. For all the 23 range, they became all 25.98. Okay. Now, let me give you another one to work on. Increase lamp prices for all lamps by 8% if current price is between 17 and 28. Okay, so what do we have here?
Okay, so update lamps 2024, set price equals price times 1.08, where 17 is less than price and price is less than 28.
Okay, let me write what you're saying. You're saying update this, set price to price times
One,
oh,
108.
1.08 you said?
No,
Oh,
1
1.08.
1.08,
1.08. Okay, 1.08.
where where price
Uh-huh.
where price is greater than 17 is less than price, and price is less than 20.
17 is less than price and price is
And yeah, but you got to have the word and in.
like that?
And price, yeah, and price
Uh-huh.
less than 28.
Less than 28. Okay. There's one slight change I will make is you cannot use value before the operator. You should say where price is greater than 17 and price is less than 28, like that.
Okay.
And since it is between, then this will be inclusive. So this is one way of doing it. Does anybody know an alternate way of doing this?
Where price between 17 and 28.
Yes. Where price between 17 and 28. Like that. Awesome. Okay. So either of the two will work just fine. When would you really use the first one over the second one? Well, if the price is inclusive, then you will use the second approach or the first approach. But if you want to have exclusive price, for example, if the values are the upper and lower bounds not part of the range, then between can't do that because between always works with inclusive range. Okay, now let me give you another one. Reduce all lamp prices by 3.5.
Is that $3.5
Yes,
or 3.5%?
dollars. Okay, so what do we write for this one?
Update lamps. Set price equals price minus 3.5.
Yep, that's it. And then you can always do select star from lamps to check what the value is right now. So a couple of them, it was like all of them went down by 3.5. Okay. Now add 3.5 back to all lamps whose current price is less than 12. Okay. Okay. So what do we have for this one?
So the inverse of that, so plus,
Uh-huh.
where price is less than 12.
And we can do select star to make sure that anybody that was previously 11 is not 11 anymore. Everybody went up by $3.50. Now I'm going to delete all lamps that are less than 16. So delete from lamps 2024C where the price is less than 16. So now when I run the select star from, I should now get only 4 records back because out of 9, I deleted 5 records because of my line 107. Okay. Now delete only lamp ID 34AS. So delete from lamps 2024C where lamp ID equals to 34AS. So only one row was deleted. So as you can see, 34AS is now gone.
So I just realized you do not actually have to highlight the whole statement. You just have to have your cursor inside of the statement to do run selected.
Oh, okay. Let's run selected. Okay, cool. Awesome. Now let's reinstate 34AS back. Once you delete it, scroll back up and go to that one insert command for 34AS. So let's copy this command, 34AS, and let's paste it back and change the table name to C. So, oops. Oh, because we need price. Forgot about that. Let's say 56. Okay. There we go. So we reinstated. And let's add one more record. I'm going to call this one 34AZ. And then select star. Okay. Delete following lamps. 34 AT and 34 BB. What will be right?
Delete from lamps 2024C where lamp ID would it be is or in? Oh, you're gonna do in.
In.
Because you're doing more than one, right?
Right, right.
Oh.
So lamp ID in
34
34 AT and
34 BB.
BB, right. So that will, what happens?
That's because it's after the semicolon, the cursor.
Oh, okay. Yeah, let me select that, or maybe click anywhere in the line and run it. Yeah, here we go. Cool, awesome. Okay, so that will delete the 2 records, right? Everybody got those two records deleted? Let's see the remaining records here. So we get the lamp ID 34AS, 34AB, 34. So, okay, so this will delete that. Okay, now let's say if I want to delete, let's add one of them back. How about let's go back up here and okay, let me or rather let me do this. Let me copy this one and let me insert this back and let me change this to 34 BB and we're going to call this one B and B with a price of 30 and let's add this one back and then we will select to make sure that everything is there. Okay, so we got this one back. Okay, so now I want to delete all 34A records. How will I do that? All 34A records. So let's do a delete. Delete from lamps 2024C, where lamp ID like 34A and what basically this does is it basically says, I want to delete all the records where the pattern is such that the lamp ID starts with 34A followed by whatever. So since there were 3 of them that had the pattern 34A and BB was the only one that did not match that pattern, so that's the only one that should be now left over. If we run the select star, we should get all of these back. I mean, like only the BB back. So the like operator allows you to work with patterns. Okay.
Oh, I think I'm gonna skip my workout.
No, you will not skip your workout. Why?
I'm falling asleep.
Your workout will keep you active. We will delete, we never deleted the workout. We only deleted the lamps.
Lamps.
You'll sleep even better after your workout, so just do it.
Yeah, maybe you want to wear Nike today because that's what it says. Just do it.
Just do it.
Okay, so if I want to
Don't let your
delete all the records, what should I type? To delete all the records.
Delete star.
Just
Delete what?
Star from lamps.
No star, because you don't delete columns, right? You delete
No,
rows.
delete
Just
from
from.
lamp 2024.
Exactly. Exactly. So you never use star with the delete commands.
I was wondering why you weren't using the Control R. I just realized it's because you're on Apple and you only have the command.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I can try Control R. Yeah, that works. That works on the Mac. Because Mac also has a control key. I've been using Control C, Control V, and that's been working fine. So probably I can use Control R, and I think that will work fine too. Yeah. Yesterday I learned, I told you guys the page down, which is function and down arrow keys page down, and function and up arrow keys page up. I wasn't able to do that yesterday in the control. No, yeah, that was yesterday in my control language class. So I have couple of my students are actually Mac users, and one of them told me to try that. And the one who told me to try that, I think he was a Mac user, but it's not a Mac user anymore. He's like, no, I don't like Macs. Like, okay. But I know the shortcuts. I said, okay, that's good. You know, I'm liking Macs now. Maybe it's because I've been using it for a month now almost. Yeah. Okay, now let me go to the assignments. And in fact, you know, I will not assign you assignment 3 today because that's chapter 6 based. So the only thing you guys have to work on is review number 3. So let me update your syllabus real quick here. Otherwise, Greg will be emailing me. Greg Nelson, hey, you forgot to update your syllabus. Are we doing this or not? Right, Greg?
You guys' stuff is all messed up. I'm surprised people pass.
They do, right? And you'll prove me right. I hope so. Okay. So, wow. You guys are really truly getting break in this class now. But there will be time when you guys would have to do then a little bit more work. Coming soon. Chapter 6 is the one that I really give most of my work around chapter 6. Because that's basically one of the skills that is mostly used in SQL, being able to select the data. Because inserts, updates, deletes, you only write them once. And you guys have seen it when you took advanced Java last semester, that the inserts and updates and deletes, they pretty much are written once behind the form, and you take the data, you bring it in, you feed them into variables, you put the variables in the dynamic SQL statements, and that's it. But it is the select on which you run the reports. We only did one report last semester on very generic select because you guys did not learn about the power of select. But once you learn about the power of select is when you can actually get, you know, a little bit more customize it. It's become a little bit more customizable to be able to run all sorts of filters and reports by using the select command. Anyway, so I'll stop recording.